are in listen-only mode.
Good morning, everyone. This is Paul Combs with Courthouse Direct. I've also got Karen Riddle on the phone with us. She's our Business Development Manager. Say hello, Karen.
Good morning. Thanks for joining us.
Good. Well, our discussion today is going to be about title plants and historical records on Courthouse Direct and Integrity Title. And we're going to talk a bit about a new title plant that we're rolling out for our title insurance customers. So again, we appreciate everyone being here, and I want to do a little bit of housekeeping here to let you know that you do have a chat and a question and answer area on your dashboard. So find that chat button, and as we go along, if you have any questions, feel free to ask those questions, and Karen will be monitoring those as we go along. A lot of folks here know CourthouseDirect.com. Some people are relatively new to our company, and we have been in business 32 years, really started as an abstracting company working mainly for engineers and surveyors. And we do a few different things here. One is CourthouseDirect.com, which is our online presence where we deliver document images and indexes over the internet. We also own a licensed title agency, and we're licensed in 39 counties in Texas. We also build databases for title insurance companies through Integrity Title Records. And then we have an abstracting company, which was really our first company that we started doing work mainly for engineers, surveyors, attorneys, and so on. We also sponsor a couple of other websites I want to make sure you're aware of. One is CourthouseSquare.com. And Courthouse Square is where if you're looking for a particular real estate professional, be it an attorney, an appraiser, and a surveyor, you can go to that website, drill down to the state and then to the county, and look at all the local folks that might be able to help you in that area. Also, we own LandmanDirect.com, which is a resource for landmen that are really trying to find all the different tools they can use in the business. So our research tools that we provide through our website are numerous. We have document images statewide and nationwide. Actually, we have about 1,000 counties nationwide where we provide document images. And in Texas, we have about 126 counties in Texas. We also build Grantor-grantee indexes, and we've been doing that for a number of years, like 13 years. And in fact, we were the first company in the nation to put a Grantor-grantee index on the internet. And so from there, we did start building geographic indexes, which we call our geo index for non-insurance customers, and title plants for our insurance customers. In addition to that, we do collect data from different resources, courthouses, and that sort of thing, and we'll discuss the different historical records that we have online. We do have some specialized tools, too, particularly for the oil and gas industry. One is the oil and gas lease check, where a landman can go into a county, put in a survey name or abstract number, and look at all the oil and gas activity in that portion of the county. And we have property reports, and also a lien search. The lien search is really for lenders or anyone that really wants to do due diligence to find out if the people they're doing business with have any involuntary liens against them. And it's essentially when you're in the Grantor-grantee area of the website, you can just pick on either lease check or lien search and be able to do those searches right from there. We also have another service that we're trying to make sure all the oil and gas landmen know about, because I think this is a great tool for them. It's called a lease alert, and essentially, if you're working in a particular county or you're just wanting to find out who's doing business throughout the state of Texas, who's acquiring oil and gas leases, there's absolutely not a better tool to find that out. The lease alert actually is a service. You go in, you pick the counties you're interested in, and then whenever there's new oil and gas documents filed in the county, we send you an alert to say these were the leases that were filed last week in the county. So most of what you see here in terms of the indexes and the lease check, the lease alert, these are all free services on our site. And the way that we make money from our website is to sell subscriptions to our title plants or provide document image to folks. And we actually have the best document image prices in Texas now. And so we built these Grantor-grantee indexes, which we consider to be great tools for people that are wanting to do in-depth research. And what we're most proud of really is that these tools were built by abstractors and landmen for abstractors and landmen. And our goal is really to make you more productive and more effective with the work that you do. So again, what we're going to go over today is historical records, which are indexes, older documents, and that sort of thing. And then also we're going to show you where to find the older historical documents when you want to look at those. And I mentioned that we build these really powerful Grantor-grantee indexes, and we had made kind of a conscious decision a few weeks back that we wanted to provide our users with a kind of enhanced or more powerful Grantor-grantee index. So essentially what we're doing is exposing our title plant capability actually with the Grantor-grantee index. There's features on the title plant you can't do on the Grantor-grantee, which makes using the title plant, good for certain folks. But if you want to be able to just build a chain of title, you can put in the subdivision, the lot and block number, and be able to very quickly look at a chain of title, particularly on something that's a lot and block out of a subdivision, and we'll be showing that to you. Also, too, for non-insurance use, as I mentioned, for our title plants, we call that our geo index, and we'll be showing that to you. The other thing that we're really excited about is for our title insurance customers, and ultimately we'll bring this to our non-insurance customers, but we've built what we call our advanced title plan. And essentially there's some listening to our customers. There are certain things they wanted to see us do within our title plants, and that is, one is to save the searches that they're working on so they can go back to those searches. Also, two, they wanted to have a multiple search, so you can search not only the legal description but also the names at the same time. Also, they wanted to be able to monitor the search. They wanted to monitor the search so that any new documents that are filed in the courthouse, they would be able to see those. There's also some other features you can see at the bottom. I'm going through the auto naming and so on, and we'll look at that in just a little bit. And now, who's on the call today? Well, I'll tell you, there's a kind of a diverse crowd here. We've got surveyors and independent abstractors. Also, we have some oil and gas landmen, some title examiners that work within the title insurance companies, and we do have some right-of-way agents. And I guess that's really the beauty of what we do, is that everyone needs something out of the courthouse. So if our landmen are slow, then usually our surveyors are busy, and so on. So let's go ahead and get started. Now, the first thing I want to do is look at our historical records, and if you look along the left-hand side of the website, there is a button here that says Historical Deeds, Plats, etc. And when I click on that, that brings us to an area on the site. I will tell you, this is probably the largest compilation of records in Texas in one place. And if you've not been using these historical records, I would really encourage you to go in here and take a look at these. I think you'll really like what you see here. Kind of just starting at along the left-hand side, you can see a list of all the different counties where we have data. And as I just kind of open these folders, you can see that in some counties we have Grantor-grantee indexes and the deeds and the subdivision plats going all the way back really to sovereignty. In other counties, we may just have the deed records, but we're still working on scanning in those counties. So if I kind of went to an example of a county where we have a lot of data, is Wise County, for instance. So if we look at Wise County and we look at the top folder here, it says Wise Deeds. So if I click on that, I can look at any of these deeds from volume A through 438, and just drilling down to a particular volume and page number, I'm just going to go to volume 103, let's say page 4, kind of at random here. And so what I'm doing here is pulling the image up on the screen, and when I'm doing this is actually free to view on our website. So it doesn't cost anything to view this particular document, and then if there's information on here that I want to get from it, then I can just download that particular document, or download that particular page that I'm interested in. So again, pretty easy to be able to just go straight to the volume and page. It's kind of like pulling a book off the shelf, which is the way that we kind of like it. And I know that's the way the landmen like it. They want to be as close as they can to just using the index. So let's look down here at the Grantor-grantee index. You can see in Wise County we have a deed index, and then we also have a oil and gas index. So let's just jump into the reverse index with the deeds. This shows you the time frame on the document. So for instance, I'm going to do a reverse search, and I want to first of all go to the first page of the deed index. And of course, if you stood in courthouses before, this looks very familiar to you. And let's say, for instance, it's telling me that if I want to look at MAR, let's say for Martin, then I need to go to page 21. And then if I look down along the left-hand side, I can jump over to page 21 or underscore 21, and that will bring me to the first page of Martin. And then I'm just able to just scroll through this information and then look for whatever it is that I might be wanting to pull. So in this instance, I'm looking at a volume. The top record here is the Alice. Looks like Alice Markham had bought some property from L.C. Shimp, and it refers to volume 114, page 487. Then I'd simply go, okay, well, if I want 114, 487, then I'm just going to go back up here to the deed records, 114, 487. And then I just go down to, again, 487. There are occasions where the image number will not match perfectly, but usually we'll put you right there where you need to be. So we can see it's actually a L.C. Slimp to this Alice Markham. So again, pretty easy to be able to get to those older volume and pages that you might need. And again, you notice as I'm leaving the page, I'm closing out these folders. Just makes it a little more manageable when you get back to them. And then also, too, for instance, if I wanted to look at, let's say, a subdivision plat, I could just simply go to the plat volume and page, just drill down to that particular plat, and be able to look at the plat itself. So there's the plat. So again, closing this back down, again, what I would do is just encourage you as you have time to go into these historical records. If you have not been using these, I think you're going to find a lot of good resources. There are some counties where we have historical back plants too. You won't necessarily see those being listed. These are subscription services, but for instance, if I wanted to look at the historical back plant in Harris County, then I would go into I'm just going to go into a subdivision here, Acre Villa, and this is actually the handwritten title plant. This is a tract book plant that we have for Harris County, and so you can just go in here and be able to use the back plant. So we do have a list of the different plants that we have. I'm going to go back to the home page here. If you notice, there's a button that says Texas Data Coverage. If you click on that, it'll open up a PDF, and it'll show you what records we have in each county. So if we're looking at this, we're looking at these are the index start dates. These are the image start dates in the county. It tells you whether we have the older handwritten Grantor-grantee indexes, and if we have the older document images and the back plants and so on. So just keep in mind to be able to get to that, you just click on that Texas Data Coverage button to be able to get to that data. So there was someone that asked, what do you have in Ellis County? So since they asked the question, let's look at it. So if we go to Ellis County, then let's just open that up, and you can see there's all the different documents, and we have a back plant for Ellis County. So essentially from here, if I wanted to go pull an older deed, I can just go in here and pull an older deed. So a lot of good information for Ellis County. So so essentially, that's the back plant, and now I want to go over to the Grantor-grantee indexes and do some searches there. Let's first of all go to Dallas County. So to get to Dallas County, I can either just click on Grantor-grantee index at the top of the page, or I can just click on the state of Texas and then just go to Dallas County. And these are all the different services that we have in Dallas County. And in this case, we want to go to the Grantor-grantee index. Now, if you look at the index at the kind of where you see it at the bottom here, this would be a typical Grantor-grantee index where you'd have the grantor and the grantee. perhaps the party name. We have a sub-search capability built into this, and so on the sub-search you can actually match different bits of data. But as I go down the page, you can also see we've created an ability to search by the subdivision and the lot and block number. So I'm going to go in here and just put in I'm going to put in a party name just to show you kind of the way we would typically search just the grantor-grantee. So I'm looking for, bear with me just a second. So we're looking for the name Sandifer, so S-A-N-D-I-F-E-R, and let's say we're looking for the name Stephen. And so I'm just going to run Stephen Sandifer. So as we look at Stephen Sandifer, we see that we get 15 records here, and what we're interested in is what Stephen Sandifer did in Huntington Park subdivision, Lot 3, Block T in Dallas County. Well, I can see that he bought property obviously from a Grady North and a Teresa North, and I could go in here and I could pick that particular documents that I want to look at. Let's say those mortgages there, and say buy documents, and then it goes to our image database, and I can click and open up that document, and we can work through and just build a chain of title like you normally do as a researcher. But we also, if you think about how we're able to search Dallas County for geographically, we would put in the volume and page number of the plat. In this case, the volume number is 84002, and then the page number, too many zeros there, 84002, and then the page number is 2761, and we know that the lot number is lot number 3, and the block number is block number T like Tom. And now we're going to run that search again. So again, not putting anything in the party name, but only searching the geographic name. And let's start from the bottom and work our way up. So we see here's a deed to Stephen Sandifer from North. Here's another deed where North bought the property, and this is where Harper sold to Slater, who sold to North. And so essentially, here's our chain of title. So if I wanted to have a quick chain of title, there's just not a better tool to be able to do that. And then from there, I can just pick the documents that I want to add to my report, and then just click on Buy Selected Document, and it adds all of those documents here to my report that I'm building. Another feature that we have on our site that you may or may not take advantage of is this ability to email these documents either to yourself or someone else. I just clicked on a button here that says Email Receipt, and these documents that I'm pulling so far have just been emailed to me, and I can pull those documents back up on my email. Or if I wanted to look at the documents I was downloading earlier today or downloaded yesterday, I can click on the History button. It defaults to today's date, and then I can look at all the documents that are being pulled in my office today. So you can. I'm an administrator, so I can actually see all the documents that are being pulled throughout the organization. So again, back to the Home button here. Let's do another search. Again, I'm just going to drill down to, let's say, Bexar County in this case. So I'm going to go to Bexar, and I'm going to go to the Grantor-grantee. And what do I know? I know the subdivision name is Oakcrest, so let's put that in, Oak. And you notice I'm not spelling out Oakcrest. And in fact, you want to be careful. If, let's say, you're running a name like Cypress Trails subdivision, you'd want to be careful just to put in, let's say, Cypress space T or Cypress space TR. You don't want to put in too much information, because if the word trails was abbreviated, then it wouldn't necessarily come up. So let's put in a lot number, so lot number 1 and then block number 2, and let's run that search again. So we're looking for anything that's in Oakcrest subdivision. Again, that's lot number 1, block 2, and essentially this gives us a chain of title that goes all the way back to 1981. And from here, I can just pick the records that I want to add to my report, and then I'm in good shape. So Bexar County and Dallas County, those are pretty large counties, but we have the same kind of search mechanism in some smaller counties. So let me show you a smaller county. So from here, I'm just going to choose Chambers County. And again, I mentioned earlier that when you're doing a lease check or a lien check, you can just click on those buttons there, and those would allow you to just jump into that. There's also a drop-down menu here, so you could choose lien check or lease check. So let's, for instance, we know that the property that I'm looking for is in the J.T. White survey. So rather than typing in J.T. White, I'm just going to put in a survey name of White and say go find everything that's in the White survey. So it's going through the database, and it's looking for anything that has the word white in the legal description column, if you will. So it brings back a lot of results here, 1,282 records. We display 100 records to a page, and therefore we have 13 pages. And as we look at the different records here, we see that there's something called a White Heron Resort subdivision, and also the J.T. White Survey, Abstract 300. Well, if what I'm interested in is the J.T. White Abstract 300, I could hit my back button one time on my browser, and under my abstract, I can put in the number 300 and say, now just match anything that's in the White survey that has Abstract 300 in it. So it'll go through the database and look for anything that has the Abstract 300, and now we've drilled down or made that 553 records instead of the 1,200 records. So we're not looking at as many records, and if you'll notice, this is every kind of document being filed in the county. So it could be, you can see an M&M lien contract, transfers of liens, oil and gas leases, and that sort of thing. So pretty much anything that is in this survey you can find. But let's say the name that I was looking for was this Trice name, T-R-I-C-E. I could go in the party name up here and say, now let's narrow this down even further, and let's look for anything that Trice did out of the White Survey Abstract 300. And from here, you can see it's picking up anything that has Trice that's out of that record, and it narrows that down to 28 records. So this is a very powerful tool to be able to put in the survey name, extract all of that information. It so happens there's also a subdivision called White Acres or whatever it was called, and we wanted to narrow it down just by the abstract number, and we were able to do that. The same way, if I wanted to just search this by, let's say, Abstract 300, typically in this county, they do use, we use a dash. So there are some counties where you may see it A300 without the dash, but in this county, so I'm just going to put in A300 and say go through the database looking for anything that has A300 in it, and you can see it's picking up 558 records that have A-300. So again, this is a title plant. Essentially, you're searching geographically for things that are out of that survey, and so that's just a very powerful tool. Just another small county very quickly. Let's jump over to Madison County. So we're just going to go here to Madison. And what do we know? We know that the survey name that we're looking for is a Fulcher survey, and that's spelled F-U-L-C-H-E-R. And so I want to look for everything in Madison County that's under the Fulcher survey. So it's going through, picking up anything that has Fulcher in it, and so we can see that it came up with 1,186 records. But what I was interested in was a 41.5 acre tract. So I just hit the back button on the browser one time, and I'm going to put in 41 point. I could put in the 5. Let's go ahead and do that, 41.5. And now we're saying go find anything that's in Fulcher that has 41.5. Now, we're making an assumption that the 41.5 is being indexed in the database. Now, it may pick up something that's 441.5, and so again, it's looking specifically for 41.5. Sometimes if I were to put in 1.5, it would pick up probably a lot more results there. But you can see how we're able to, again, you throw a large net, and then you throw a smaller net. And that's essentially what this allows you to do, and certainly allows you to kind of find that needle in a haystack. So
Paul, we have a question.
Yeah.
Can you show them how to isolate document types in your search?
Yeah, the document type, for instance, it's just like we ran this search right here, and we know that what we're looking for is anything, let's say, that has the word warranty deed in it. Now that's a little tricky, because a deed might be labeled as a special warranty deed, and then you might not pick that up. But let's say, for instance, on this search here, I'm just going to hit the back button here, and under the sub-search here, I'm just going to put in the word warranty and say, go find everything out of these specific records that have the word warranty in it. And you see it narrows it down to even a smaller subset. So you can match these any way you want to. That's the power of the sub-search, is that, for instance, if I was looking at for something that was in volume 120, I knew a lot of other information, but I couldn't read the page number, then essentially I can narrow that down even further. So the sub-search is kind of your wild card. It'll search anywhere in the database, but if you're searching specifically for legals or abstract numbers or acreage, we give you really boxes to put that into. Again, the same way on this lease check. I'm just going to click on the lease check button. This is our filtered search for oil and gas activity. So, for instance, if I put in Fulcher and say, I could put in a party's name, but I'm just going to put in a survey name. I'm going to say, go find anything that is oil and gas related out of the Fulcher survey in Madison County. So it's going through the whole database. It found it's a pretty active county, 915 records, and you can see these are all oil and gas related documents. So now there's an abstract of judgment that fell in here, and I'm not really sure. Maybe that was accidentally got filtered in here, but most everything you see here is an oil and gas related document. So again, if I'm going to do a lease check in a county, if you think about the way that we traditionally do a lease check in a county, we go to the county tax office, we find the Fulcher survey, we find out who's paying taxes on the property, and then we start running our chain back to look for oil and gas leases. This is like a super fast way to be able to do that. So what we need to do now is jump back over to the title plant for the geo index. And the geo index, you might kind of consider this to be our legacy title plant, if you will. So what we're doing is making our data available for non-insurance customers as well as insurance customers. And so, for instance, let's do those searches that we did in Dallas County again. Just go back to Dallas County. We know the volume and page number is volume 84002. The page number is 2761. And then the lot number is lot number 3, and then the block number is block number T like Tom. So I'm just going to go ahead and run that search again, but we're doing it in the title plant, if you will. And I did something wrong. Lot 39, block T, 84002, 2761. Oh, it's not lot 39, it's lot 3. Okay. That's usually, if you get an answer like that with nothing found, it's usually because we entered it in wrong. So let's look at this. I want to add all of this information into my report that I'm looking at here. Again, keeping in mind what I'm using is our geo index or title plant, and I want to name my report. So for instance, I'll name it Huntington lot number 3, block T like Tom, and I'm just going to click add to report. And now I want to run the name because I want to make sure that I've got everything against Stephen Sandifer. So I just simply clicked on Stephen Sandifer's name, and when I do that, that actually populates the general index. And the general index allows you to kind of works like the sub-search, if you will. You can search anywhere in the database. So, for instance, I want to look at everything with Stephen Sandifer, and you will notice that I did take out any middle initials. And from here, I'm looking for any voluntary liens or involuntary liens that might affect Stephen Sandifer. And so I'm looking at this and say, well, these are, or Huntington Park. So I'm picking up the things I want to add to my report. So I'm just clicking and adding it to the report. And then I also want to run that the other name that we had in Huntington, which is this Amy Sandifer. So I can just go ahead and add Amy here. And I want to run everything with Amy. So that's the only thing we find with Amy. I'm going to add that to the report. And you might look at that and say, well, Paul, I think you already added that before. It doesn't repeat the information, so don't worry about adding it again. We also have the same way we have the lien search, we have this adverse search here. So for instance, if I was looking for any kind of involuntary liens against Sandifer, or Sandifer I should say, Sandifer, I could just put in the last name and say, go find anything that has any involuntary liens against Sandifer, which should be a fairly uncommon name, in the county. So what it's doing again is this filtered search, looking for anything that is an involuntary lien. Since we ran the title all the way back to the 60s, it's bringing up quite a bit. But if we look at the different doc types here, we see state tax lien, federal tax lien, and so on. I'm just going to pick a couple of these and then add this into another area of our report. And I'm just going to label this part of the report adverse liens. We know this doesn't apply to our folks, but I'm just showing this to you. So I picked a couple records here and I added that to the report. So think about what we did. We ran a legal description on the property. We ran a name search against the husband, name search against the wife. Essentially, we're building the title report. And now we want to view our report. So we have a View Report button at the top here. So I'm just going to click on that, and that's everything we've added to the report. But let's say it's not in chronological order, and I want to make sure we keep it in chronological order. I just click on the File Date column. That will keep everything in chronological order. And then I want to just go ahead and pull all the documents related to this report. So I clicked on a little asterisk that's next to subdivision, and then I'm going to say get all the documents related. So it's going into the database, pulling up all the documents, and you can see them right here. So I can just go in here and say, well, I want to look at the Sandifer deed. And this really is where the dual screen is helpful. I can take that document and move it over to the screen on the right and then look at my run sheet at the same time. So for instance, I've looked at all the documents I need to look at. I want to save my report. I have a button at the top that says Save Report as MS Word. When I open that, when I click Open, it opens a Word document. So all of this report that I've been building here, it drops that into this area of the report. The beauty of a Word document is the ability to actually make some notes on here. So I can say, note, see $56,000 IRS lien, or whatever else you want to put on there. And you can use your highlighter too. So you can just highlight that. So when you go to save this, so if I go File, Save As, and I have a little area that I save it in, which is a kind of a temp folder here. So if I save it, save this report, and a lot of times I'll name the report as just a run sheet, and then put the project number or whatever it is. You want to be very careful too that you save this as a Word document instead of as a web page, and I just saved it. Now that I've saved it, then essentially I can send this to anybody I want to. So for instance, if I wanted to send this to Karen, I could say Save and Send as an attachment. There's my Word document, and then I can just put in Karen's email address and then hit the Send button. So the run sheet that I just created, I'm able to email to her along with all the documents. Once you've done that, then essentially you can close out the Word document. And also too, in the title business, we can save this to our, save it to RamQuest or SoftPro or whatever other projects we're working on. One other thing that you're able to do here is, let's say, for instance, I read this federal tax lien and it does not apply to my client. So I want to move this into a new area of my report, and I'm going to name that new area the NA area, or not applicable. So I can just click on Move Selected To, and then I just created a new area of the report called NA. So again, you can kind of move this information around. Again, if I wanted to move these two records into the adverse lien area, then I could say just move or copy it to it. I say I'll just move it over, and you can see how it just drops it into this other area. Also, too, in our business, what's important in terms of title insurance is to be able to get our hands on starter files, that is, prior title commitments. And if you look at the top here, we have a button that says Plats and Starters. And for instance, if I go in here and say, well, I'm looking for all the plats and starters in Huntington Huntington Park, and I just search that, then essentially it goes through and is pulling up anything that's a prior title commitment or a subdivision plat for Huntington Park. I didn't specify a section number or anything like that, so it's going to bring up, you know, probably a good number of records, I'm assuming. But again, if someone's already done the research on the deed restrictions and that sort of thing, then if I pull a prior title commitment, that helps me. So let's assume we're in Section 4. I think we're actually in Section 6. But I can look at, you know, block number G, and then just at the bottom here, again, I might just kind of drop this down and say this is our new area, which is our starter and maps, and then add that to my report. Again, I want to toggle back to the report. So I'm back to the report, and I'm looking at the bottom here, and I want to pull these particular documents. So it goes to our image database, and then I can pull it. Now, for instance, you're looking at where it says image not found on this commitment. Some of these documents are in a PDF format. So if I wanted to go to that Huntington Park 4 and pull that document, I'm actually going to clear out of my search right now, and I'm going to click on this historical backplants where we were before. And essentially, the very top left-hand folder, I can go in here and pick Dallas County and then go to the subdivision. And this is pretty much every subdivision in Dallas County. And so I'm going to look for Huntington Park. So I'm just going to kind of move my little bar over, and I'm looking for Huntington, which of course is going to be on the bottom. Back close that. Sorry. So what I'm saying is that some of these files are in a PDF format, and so the PDF, we're still working on converting those over to a TIFF image. But if it shows that we have a starter file, then typically you can jump over to the starter and base folder right here and drill down and be able to pull that starter file. So that's really all I wanted to show you there. We're back on the H's, so let's see if I can go down to Huntington Park. Huntington Park. You can see all the different subdivisions there with the corresponding volume and page numbers. And so there's a TIFF image commitment. And again, you just like one of these probably has all of the folders in them. You'll see, you know, a lot of these. So anyway, just to show you that if you don't find the starter file in the new starter area, you can jump over here and look at it. So any questions before I move on to the advanced title plant, Karen?
Yes, we do have a couple of questions. The first one is when we were not in the GEO site with the report feature, and the question was is it possible to export the results as a PDF or print?
You can. The document images that you're pulling up, you can export those. You can copy and paste the run sheet, but that's really why we built the GEO index, is to allow you to be able to create those Excel spreadsheets and those PDFs. So in terms of using the Grantor-grantee index to be able to drop to an Excel spreadsheet, you're not really able to do that right now. What we would do is point you over to the GEO index to be able to accomplish that task.
Okay, the next question is if I'm running and it maxes out at 1,500 documents, what happens then? If
it will give you a message at the top that says you've exceeded 1,500 and to narrow your date range. So you just want to just, let's say for instance you ran everything from, let's say a county starts their records in 1955 and it exceeded 1,500 records. And what I would do is probably start the search on January 1st of 1980 and then run the search again. And if you ended up with more than 1,500, you need to narrow the search a bit more again. So, you know, you're working in because you're doing a geographic search in some of these counties using the putting in a survey name or an abstract number, it's not unlikely that you might pull up more than 1,500 records, but just narrow the date range and you should be okay.
The next question is, do I have to buy all of the docs that I look at?
What we've done as far as our pricing for document images is we've dropped the pricing down low enough. If you're an active user, our price can be either $2 or $1.50 or even $1 to be able to view an entire document. So even though you in the historical area that we were talking about before, you can view those documents free. You don't have to pay for them to view them. But in the current title plan or in the current grantor-grantee, you would have to pay to be able to view them. And again, we've done that because we may not be in business very long if people could just view the document without ever paying for them. Okay. Well, I'm going to go ahead and jump on the advanced title plant here. And again, this is something that I know some of our title plant insurance customers are very interested in. You can tell in the title plant it has a different look and feel, and you can see all the different counties where we have title insurance title plants. And so I'm just going to go ahead and log in. And you notice there's a button here that says Advanced Title Plant. So I'm just going to click on that. And this screen looks similar to when I was on the PowerPoint. So these are all the different features, again, that you're able to do within here. And let's just go in and do our searches again that we're familiar with. So we're going to pick a county. I'm going to pick Dallas County. And it's telling me this search is being done in the month of June of 2014, and I want to name the search. So I'm going to call this Test 2014-1. And then I'm going to submit that. Before I submit it, you can see there is another area that says Search Without a GF Number. And so you can run, if you just want to run a quick search, you can do that without putting in a GF number, but most folks will have a GF number. So I'm ready to go ahead and do a search. So it defaults to what we call our multi-search capability. So for instance, I'm going to put in the volume and page number, so 84002, and then the page number is 2761, and then the lot number is lot number 3, and the block number is T. Well, what else do I know? Well, I know that the party name is Sandifer, S-A-N-D-I-F-E-R, and the first name was Stephen. And also know that the wife's name was Sandifer, Amy. And usually you're going to pick this information up off of the tax rolls as to who's paying taxes on the property, which 95% is going to be your owner of the property. So from here, I'm saying, okay, I'm going to run all of these different searches. And if you look to the right, we're going to run a legal search by book and page. We're going to run the subdivision name. We're going to run deed restrictions. We're going to run all of these things all at the same time. So when I click on the search button, a lot of things are going on behind the scenes. And if you see, I'm going to drag my mouse down below here, and you can see that it's already telling us that it found 19 records that had, lot so-and-so, block so-and-so. It found certain records that are deed restrictions and easements, and then if I move to the right, these are our name searches. So under Stephen Sandifer, it found 15 records. Under Amy, it found 3 records. So all of these different searches are being done, but the search that we want to look at is this 19 records that came back by the book and page. So again, this looks pretty similar to the search that we had done before. And from here, I can just add the information to the report that I want to add. So again, I'm just going through and clicking on the add button and adding these. I could also click the asterisk at the top and do that, but I'm just going to click these individual add buttons. So I've just added those, but I didn't have to name the reports because it names it for me. And now I want to run Stephen Sandifer. So this is going to be everything with Stephen Sandifer. And as we remember, we just had a couple of records here with Stephen that we need to look at. And then I want to look at everything with Amy Sandifer, which is 2 records here. And let's say the only one I really needed was this Huntington part. And then from here I could say, well, I want to look at these different starter files in the area. I could go in here and look at the list of starter files and add those to my report. So for instance, again, just for grins, I'm just going to pick a couple of these. So from here, I've been adding information into my run sheet, and I'm ready to view my report now. So I'm just going to click on View Report. And this looks pretty similar to the report builder that we have before, where we've added this information. So, here's my run sheet on Huntington. Here's my name search on Sandifer. Here's my name search on Amy. And then these are some prior title commitments if I wanted to look at those. Now, again, you kind of want to get in the habit of always clicking on the file date column, make sure everything's in chronological order, and then you would just go through and, again, same way you do before, you just add the documents to your report of the things that you want to look at. Now, what I like to do whenever I add another search here, so let's say, for instance, I have this, a deed search that I did, and I want to add this into my report. I could choose my drop-down and say, well, I want to keep it all in the legal search that I'm doing, and then you could just go in and just add that straight into your legal search instead of separating that as a separate record on the run sheet, if that makes sense. So again, all of your different searches that you're able to do on the current title plant, you're able to do up here individually if you wanted to, but this allows you to essentially do one search at a time, or one search and be able to pull everything up. Now when I go back to the report, if I've added something to the report, it's going to say refresh this page, and so essentially when I refresh, anything that I've added will stay within, stay on the report. So again, you notice the tabs at the top. I'm either in a report or I'm in the title plant. So I'm going to go back to the advanced plant, and I say, well, I'm ready to actually leave and do a new report, but there's some other features here that I'm going to probably want to take advantage of. So if I click on New Report, it's going to ask me at the top, do you want to add or monitor searches before you start a new report, or do you just want to go ahead and start a new report? Well, I think I want to monitor this name. This is not going to close for another week or two. So if there was an IRS lien that was filed in a couple of days from now, I'm going to be made aware of that. So I click on this button that says Update and Monitor, and you can see kind of a from date where it's searching from. And if I just click on, let's say I want to keep an eye on that Stephen Sandifer. I also want to keep an eye on Amy and this legal description. And as you notice, it's telling me that it's going to every day run title against these names. And if there's anything new in the database, it's going to send me an email to tell me that something's new. If I wanted to add 30 days, then I can just go through and add 30 days. If I don't anticipate it's going to close that same. So now I'm monitoring these searches so that if for instance, there's something that is filed, I'm going to be made aware of it with an email that's going to be sent to me. And so that's really a great tool. Now we've also added an ability to update with a one-click update. And actually, I'm going to just click on this just to show you. Let's say, for instance, if I click on this Update Selected, it actually is running these searches again and looking for any kind of new activity against this particular file. Of course, it came up with 0 because we just finished our search. But I'll show you one where maybe we can get some other results that will come back. So now that I'm monitoring these searches or these names, I'm ready to start a new report now. So I'm going to say New Report. Now we're still in Dallas County, and let's say, for instance, I have a record that I'm looking for that's a 161, let's say 001 right there, and I'm going to go ahead and submit that. So these are the different searches or reports that have been done here. So I'm just going to click on the latest report, and now I want to click on Update and Monitor, if you will. And from here I can say, well, I want to update all of these different searches that we were doing here. So again, it's looking for anything since the last search that I did. And in fact, I see here one says that it found three records here. This is a Christian subdivision or something. So I'm going to click on the 3 records. And what it does, when I click on that, it actually throws those records down at the bottom. So you can look at these and say, yeah, this was something that was filed pretty recent, May 15th, and my original search was done in, let's say, April. So, or let's say, for instance, it's showing these, 2 records. I think I saw one that had 2 records. I can go in here and say the 1 record, and then I can just go to the bottom, and it'll just show me that 1 record that it found. So again, something I think a lot of our agents have been looking for is the ability to do a one-click update, and that's your one-click update right there. Okay, new report.
Well, we do have a couple of questions.
Okay.
Talking about title commitments as a starter, do we typically need to have an owner's title policy for a valid start? And do we have official title policies available?
When you kind of talk about the definition of a starter file, if we could, as a title insurance agency that's going to run title, let's say in Timber Grove Manor, Section 2, if I can find a exact starter file that is a prior title commitment on the specific lot and block that I'm working on, that's great to be able to find that. But if I find let's say a starter file on a property that's next door or across the street, so long as it's in the same section of the subdivision, I can feel pretty good that I picked up all the deed restrictions and the things that are going to be in Schedule B, or what we call Schedule B1 on the title commitment. So again, let's just jump over to Harris County again. I'm just going to put in say test Harris and submit that, and maybe that's already been used before. And if I just go to the plats and starters here and say, okay, well, I'm looking for Timber Grove Manor subdivision, and so let's say it's Section 3. See if that works here. It found these particular records. It found a plat and some commitments. So I'm just going to add these to my report. Now I'm going to look at my report, and I want to go ahead and pull the documents here. And let's just open up one of these title commitments. So if I'm looking at this commitment, I'm paying attention to a few different things. One, I want to make sure that I'm in the right volume and page as the subject property that I'm working on. If it may be across the street and could be in a different section number, and I'd want to make sure that I'm in the same section. And then what I want to do is I want to pay attention really to Schedule B of the title commitment, which is right here. It's a little bit hard to read, probably for you on that end, but I can look at this and say that at least the deed restrictions that are showing on this property are 2106, page 28, and I might also be looking for any other language in here, utility easements or something like that might affect that area. And then let's say, for instance, if I go and pull another starter file, let's say this is one that's across the street, I can see, well, that looks like they picked up, this is a more current document, they picked up the 2294-671, but they also found something else here, which is under the W number. So we've made our starters very affordable. I mean, essentially it's $1 to view the starter, and then another $1 if you want to download. So if I pull a starter from Stewart Title and First American and Chicago Title, and they all come up with the same information, I can usually feel pretty good that that's all there is.
Okay, the next question is, in a nutshell, what is the difference between the advanced plant and the enhanced plant that we are currently using?
I would say that a lot of the things that you're using on the enhanced plants are built into the advanced plant. It's kind of funny playing with these words, but you have I think the look and feel is better. I think you're able to update and monitor in the enhanced plant, but it's just some. Actually, a lot of the features are the same. We've tried to just make it so it's easier to use. Particularly, what happens, like if you're going to run a new report, then then you're not always going to think that you need to update or monitor that report. Here we're going to remind you to do that. So we also have kind of changed our language to multi-search instead of the template search. And there's probably a lot of other things kind of behind the scenes that are kind of more that I can't really explain because I'm not the technical person here. That that are working that make the searches faster and that sort of thing. So again, we've been using both the enhanced plant and the advanced plant in our own office, and it just seems like people really like the advanced plant, and we hope that the way that it lays out just makes a little more sense for the user.
Okay, another question is information about the geo index. How do I get to it and sign up for it and the cost?
Let's go back to back to the home page for Courthouse Direct, and you can see all of our pricing. I'm logged in, so I can't see pricing, so I'm going to go ahead and log off just to show you. So if I click on Sign Up and Pricing, you can see all of our pricing. And again, what a lot of our folks are signing up on now is this Texas volume pricing. So essentially, it drops that price down to $2 per document. Again, not per page, but per document. So long as you do a monthly minimum of $100 a month. Well, if you're doing very much business in Texas, you're going to pull $100 worth of copies. So, and then if we kind of go toward the bottom, you see the Geo Index title plant here. We don't have this in every single county where we have the Grantor-grantee indexes, but we're actually working to put that in every county. And this is our pricing for that. But if somebody wants like statewide coverage for all of our Geo Index, it's only really $1,200 a month. So, so this is where your pricing is. Again, if you've got 50 users you want to add to it, then call us. We'll certainly be able to work out some kind of arrangement to make it affordable for you. So, so that's where you at least you'd find the pricing, and certainly feel free to call myself or Karen, and we'd be happy to discuss or clear up any questions you might have on pricing. You have another question, Karen? You still there?
No, that's it. No more questions.
Okay. Let's see. Now, if y'all do have any more questions, feel free to send them to us now. We'd be happy to try to answer them. Otherwise, we'll let y'all go back to work. But and I want to just go ahead and leave my direct line telephone number with you if you have any questions. It's 713-683-4012. And Karen, why don't you leave your direct line number too?
That number is 713-683-4062.
Good. Well, we thank you, and again, we'll continue to keep adding counties. We're really excited about what we're doing this year in terms of adding a lot more oil and gas counties. Particularly, you're going to see a lot more counties coming on in the Permian Basin, a lot more counties in the Eagle Ford Shale counties, and so on. We're on a very aggressive track this year to add a lot more data, a lot more, particularly oil and gas counties. And then on the title insurance side, we've got another few critical counties that we'll be bringing online, and wherever we can help you, please keep us in mind. Again, y'all go out and have a great day today. Thank you.